and welcome to Are We There Yet? MarketScale's online video podcast series that explores the most exciting cutting-edge technologies, projects, companies in transportation today. My name is Grant Harrell, and as your host, I'll speak with the representatives and voices of today's most exciting companies, learning truly what's at the cutting edge of transportation technology today. And today, very exciting topic. We talk about electrification and alternative fuel sources in the school bus industry. And to speak with us about that, we have the leading manufacturer of school buses and commercial trucks worldwide, Blue Bird. And to speak with us about the exciting projects, electrification, alternative fuel sources, and all of the exciting work within Blue Bird, we have two representatives, Britton, the Senior Vice President of Electrification and Chief Strategy Officer for Blue Bird, as well as Albert Burleigh, the Executive Director of EV Sales for Blue Bird. Britton and Albert, hello, and welcome to Are We There Yet?
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Grant. Appreciate it.
Yes, of course. Well, I'm very excited to get to speak with you each today. Really appreciate your time and excited to learn about the very exciting, very timely, relevant work at Blue Bird that you're each working on. I understand that Blue Bird is the leading independent designer and manufacturer of school buses with more than 550,000 school buses sold since its formation in 1927. I'd love to learn more about the incredible history of Blue Bird, and if you don't mind, what you're most excited about looking into the future.
Yeah, it's a great question. And the as you mentioned, 1927 was when Blue Bird started. So we have a 95-year history of building school buses in the United States. So really an iconic American brand. What's kind of interesting about our history is that our first school bus was built on a Ford Model TT chassis, and that school bus is currently in the Ford Museum in Detroit. So pretty exciting, and as I mentioned, iconic brand. And Blue Bird is really built on a history of innovation, and we are very much the leader in electric powertrains, but then also other sustainable or more sustainable powertrains like propane and gasoline, which we'll talk about as well.
Very good. Well, I look forward to learning more about that. That's very exciting. Britton, you have an incredible professional background. As I understand, over 20 years of leadership experience in both public and private equity-owned companies across multiple industries. You've served within executive roles, as I understand, for organizations including the United States Navy. Very much appreciate your service there. McKinsey and Company and KPMG, for example. Would love to learn a little bit more about really what attracted you to Blue Bird.
Yeah, so I've always been a car guy, very interested in transportation. This is my first time working in the transportation industry, though, I'd have to say. And what's as I mentioned, the history of Blue Bird and the brand to me is what first attracted me to the organization. But more than that, Blue Bird's leadership role and the transition that's currently happening within the school bus industry. We'll talk about a little bit what funding is available and how much growth we're seeing in electric vehicles. But Blue Bird was the first one to market with an electric vehicle, and sort of seeing that leadership role that Blue Bird is taking, being able to drive the growth of that business unit to me is very exciting. Obviously, it's got a great team. Albert's one of our key team members, so it's a great organization, a great brand, and really exciting growth going forward.
Definitely. It is. I think a very exciting brand, one of the most exciting, I think, in all of transportation today. And I know they certainly benefit from your leadership and support within the organization. So great to hear that. Albert, you too have an extremely impressive background, nearly 30 years, as I understand, of executive level experience within the automotive industry. I understand that you also have served within senior sales and operational roles with Ford Motor Company, for example, over 14 years, now 15 years, as I understand, with Blue Bird. Currently serve as the Executive Director of Electric Vehicle Sales. I imagine that you've seen a lot of evolution within Blue Bird, especially over the past 15 years, and would love to learn a little bit more about some of the evolution that you've seen within the company within your tenure.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been quite a ride. It's been quite amazing, the transformation I've seen since I joined Blue Bird back in 2007. If you think back then, it was primarily a diesel powered industry and had been for a really long time. I mean, the great technology worked well for school districts. But starting around that time, the EPA had some pretty strict regulations on diesel engines and wanted to reduce NOx, and a lot of the technology in diesel engines changed at that time. You had SCR, or selective catalytic reduction, and diesel particulate filters, and a lot of this technology that really kind of changed diesel engines for the industry. and really became somewhat problematic for our customers. So we decided to start making and start offering some alternatives for our customers, so they had some other options besides diesel powered engines. And so in 2008, we offered our first OEM propane powered school bus. It really was the exact solution customers were asking for, and really has become one of our best selling products in the lineup, and has been a great alternative to diesel. We also offered a gasoline bus starting in 2016. That really was because diesel engines and those products became a lot more expensive, and gasoline powered buses were an affordable solution for customers at the time. And then you kind of transitioned, in 2018. A lot of what we're talking about today is electric school buses, and that's when we introduced our current iteration of our electric school bus, and has seen really phenomenal growth of that product over the last 4 years. So thinking of where we come from just over that 15-year span that I've been with Bluebird has really been amazing to watch.
Absolutely. Yeah. What an incredible time. And just really, I'm so impressed with the adaptability, I think, of the organization, as you shared, adapting with changes within the industry, different fuel sources that become available. I think really speaks to the position that the company's in today, and the ability to really adapt to a lot of those changes and opportunities. So really exciting to learn more about that, and just what you've seen even firsthand within the last 15 years. You mentioned, and I think you've each highlighted a little bit, that sustainability, really is a major priority for Bluebird. And I understand that currently you now offer really a broad spectrum of zero, low emission school buses, ranging from electric, as you shared, propane, natural gas powered school buses. And so I'd love to jump to the question of the series, the Are We There Yet series. So in terms of zero emission school buses, are we there yet?
Yeah, so I think that's a yes and a no, and it's a bit of a nuanced question, because, or nuanced answer, because is the technology there? Absolutely. So as Albert mentioned, I mean, we launched commercially in 2018 our first electric school bus. So it's been on the road for 4 years, and those buses are still running strong, and have a long life ahead of them. In fact, interestingly, our first electric school bus was in 1994 for the Atlanta Olympic Games. So we've been at it for a while. The technology has definitely progressed to, as most folks see, tons of passenger cars and commercial vehicles are getting on the road with electric, and school buses are there as well. I'd say, part of the challenge with and the beauty of electric school buses is the use case is very well fit for electric. It comes back to the same place. They can charge it. They have an opportunity during the day to charge the vehicle as well. So it's really kind of tailor fit for EVs. I think the challenge is that there are certain areas where the infrastructure isn't there yet. So you could be in a more rural area, or or certain routes that are much longer, right? Our current iteration of the electric school bus, we say, will really handle about 90-95% of school bus routes out there. But there are some situations that you may want a diesel, sorry, you may want a propane bus or a gasoline bus or some other fuel which is cleaner than diesel, but provides you with a much longer range.
Sure. Well, great to hear. Gosh, that 95% of uses applications, fit well with some of the alternative sources. So that's very significant. So exciting to hear that, and great to hear that we are there yet in terms of the technology. And I think that you're certainly leading the way in the application of that technology. So really impressed with that. Great to hear. Thanks to Bluebird, as I mentioned, and really your leadership within the industry, and integrating, applying those technologies. Zero emission school buses have arrived, and we'll continue to see more of those in the coming years, as it sounds like. Would love to learn a little bit more specifically about that. So the EV school buses, as well as your propane and your natural gas. Would you mind, talking a little bit more to those alternative sources within your buses?
Yeah, great lineup of products we have. I'll kind of talk about propane first. As we mentioned, we were the first to introduce an OEM propane powered school bus back in 2008. The great thing about propane, it's safe, it's clean, it's affordable. It's really a great solution for school bus customers. And about 85% of all the propane school buses operating in the U.S. and Canada are Bluebird buses. So we've done very, very well in this space. But they're clean. Propane powered buses are produce about 96% less toxic emissions than diesel buses. On average, propane costs about 50% less than diesel. So huge savings on just fuel side for our customers. and they can go about 400 miles on a single fueling. So no range issues with propane. It really really lines up well for what the school districts need in transportation. And another nice thing, about 90% of the United States propane supply is produced domestically. So it also provides energy independence, which we think is important. So propane's been great, but natural gas is another option we offer. We were the first to introduce a compressed natural gas bus back in 1991, so another first for Bluebird. And today we have about 150 school districts. They operate roughly about 5,500 natural gas powered school buses, and they've also been a very great product, like propane, very clean, about a 90% reduction in NOx emissions compared to diesel buses. And like propane, natural gas is significantly less than diesel, so it also provides those cost savings to school districts as well. But electric school buses, we think, is the future. We think propane and natural gas buses are great products, but they're bridge technologies for customers ultimately who are going to go zero emission, and we think the industry will go that way over the next several years. And we've had great success so far. As Britton mentioned, we did have the first all electric school buses back in 1994, but the technology was much different back then. They were lead acid batteries. They were heavy. Took long to charge, weren't as reliable. So we only built that product for about 3 years, and then we shelved it, and kind of learned a lot from electric during that time, but came back into the market in 2018, and since then we've sold 1,200 electric school buses. We've deployed about 650 of those so far. We have them operating in 31 states, 4 Canadian provinces, so they're running all over the U.S. and Canada. And we're the only ones right now that build it in every product type available for school buses, which is a Type A, a Type C, and Type D. So we give our customers a lot of options, and EV school buses is basically what they want. Um, but it really, like Britton mentioned earlier, it's the technology today really lines up well for school buses. So if you think about the duty cycle for school districts, they run about 30 or 40 miles in the morning, about 30, 40 miles in the afternoon. They park them overnight, and they're parked for a good part of the summer. So the technology today fits with the school bus needs. And the charging, yeah, as Britton mentioned, is that can be a challenge in some markets. One thing we do is we do offer a standard CCS1 connector. And what this is we allow customers to charge our bus with either level 2 charger, which is a bit of a slow charge. It takes about 8 hours, but again, it works for most school districts. Or you can charge it with a DC fast charger. If you need to charge it quickly, you can charge it in about 3 hours. So a real nice option for customers, that they don't really have to make that decision up front on the charging infrastructure. They buy our bus and they have those options. But the savings are also very huge. If you think about it, you don't have all those moving parts that you have with a diesel engine. We don't offer a bus with a transmission. So the operational savings for school districts is also a huge benefit. We're hearing, roughly 49 cents per mile to operate a diesel bus and down to about 14 cents a mile to operate an electric bus. And we have one customer who recently purchased 30 buses. They're expecting to save about $250,000 a year on fuel costs alone. So you can see the savings are also huge for school districts when they're running electric, which we think is a huge benefit.
Hey, so Grant, one thing I wanted to add on that, one of the things that we've seen from an infrastructure perspective is customers tend to, get challenged with, well, what should I do? What kind of charger should I have? How many do I need to put in place? So recently, Bluebird has launched Bluebird Energy Services, which is a full service provider. So, we will go in, send engineers to the site, make sure that, we look at where the field currently is, where the buses are stored, make sure that any chargers that get placed are robust enough for their duty cycle, get the chargers installed, test them out, make sure that they're operating. And so this is something where, having a Bluebird charger, I think really provides a lot of reassurance for our customers to know that that their buses are going to be working every morning when they come into the yard. It's a very exciting launch for us in the last couple of weeks.
That is very exciting. No, I'm really impressed with that, and I think just the collaboration that you offer with the school districts and the charging and assisting with that, making sure that it meets their requirements, the variety of different fuel sources that you have depending upon the need and the application, and then this really just ultimately resulting in some very significant savings, $250,000 a year for a school district that you're working with. That's incredible, and I would imagine that that's a reason, one of the reasons, for the success that you've had with the different technologies is just the many options that you offer that really are kind of custom fit to the individual school districts and what their needs are, and then the collaboration that you shared as well, Britton. I think that's really impressive just to hear that you're so involved with just ensuring that those buses and technologies meet their needs. So definitely congratulations on that. But to the school districts as well that are benefiting from those technologies, and at the end of the day, saving a very significant amount of money. It sounds like that's great to hear. Would love to speak. I think something else that's very timely and on the minds of many within the industry. Great new program. We talked a lot about the EV school buses that you offer. We now benefit from the recently announced federal clean bus rebate program, part of a $5 billion bipartisan infrastructure law. Would love to learn a little bit more about this federal program. I know you're very involved in it, and even specifically how Bluebird and the industry will benefit from this new initiative.
Obviously, we're very excited about this program. So, as you mentioned, $5 billion over the course of 5 years, and this is in addition to a lot of the other funding sources like HVIP that are available to school districts to fund these EV buses. And that the first round of that funding came out in May. It was announced, so 500 million. We're in the application process now, which ends actually this month. So in a couple of weeks, the application period closes, and then we expect to be those awards will be rolled out in October. So it's a pretty compressed timeline. But what's exciting about it is, the way that this round is designed is they're trying to get EV school buses into every single state, all 50 states. And as you likely know, there's been a big push in California, New York, some other states. But really, the EPA said, look, our objective for first round is a school bus at a minimum in every single state. The other piece is that it provides money for infrastructure. So as a school bus gets purchased, then there's a portion of money that can go towards chargers and that charger installation. So again, it just helps to make sure that those pieces are taken care of. There's also money earmarked for propane buses, so cleaner school buses, which obviously we're very excited when customers would like those as well. I think our approach has always been, as Albert mentioned, whatever product a customer is looking for, we want to help them to purchase those cleaner school buses. So very exciting program. Consistently interacting with the EPA to help them shape the next round, and we're looking forward to seeing what that one looks like as well.
Absolutely, absolutely, great program, and glad to hear you're so involved in it. That's exciting. I understand as well that you have officially now gone commercial with the launch of medium duty electric commercial vehicle platform, and so certainly not limited to just the school buses. I understand that Bluebird now offers Class 5 and 6 commercial EV options, and really poised for success with this new for Bluebird segment that you now operate within. Would love to learn a little bit more about the company's entry into this segment, and really how the company is applying its world-class chassis building expertise to now expand the electric-powered product range to the commercial vehicle space. Would you mind telling us a little bit more about this new segment?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a very exciting launch for us. So we launched it in May at the ACT Advanced Clean Transportation Expo in California. It's a class, as you mentioned, a class 5 to 6 commercial chassis. So it's what's called a strip van or strip chassis that goes onto a step van, like a delivery vehicle that you see, or a motor home. So there's a lot of different applications. For Bluebird, it's significant because it doubles our addressable market size. The school bus industry is about 30,000 vehicles per year, and the strip chassis market is another 30,000 vehicles per year. So we look at it as a really significant change in the direction of Bluebird itself and what our future looks like. Interestingly, this project came out of demand. Folks were looking for good chassis builders who could develop an electric vehicle, with that was durable. And so it was a beautiful combination. Bluebird manufactures every one of our chassis that school buses are on, and that same chassis building expertise is applied to the strip chassis, to the commercial chassis. In terms of the vehicle itself, it's got a really, I think the piece that's exciting about it is that it has a broad range of features. So it can go from 70 to 225 kilowatt hours. So pretty broad range of battery sizes, go up to 175 miles on a single charge. And then again, depending on the battery size, it can be charged very quickly, from 1 to 10 hours, depending on the type of charger being used. It's also got a very highly variable wheelbase from 178 inches up to 208 inches, and a GVWR, gross vehicle weight, up to 26,000 pounds. So it's a pretty unique vehicle in the market, and we believe it'll be a transformative change for Blue Bird itself. The exciting part is we're going to be building it down here in Fort Valley, Georgia, just like our school buses. So, U.S. made manufacturing, and really looking for a nice growth in that commercial vehicle industry or market.
So I understand that in addition to the many benefits and cost savings that you offer the school districts through use of your school buses, that there is in fact also a vehicle to grid capability. Albert, would you mind telling us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for bringing that up. We at Blue Bird, every electric school bus we build comes standard with vehicle to grid capability. So it really allows the school districts to potentially make money with their electric school buses. So if you think about it, these buses are basically batteries on wheels. They're equipped with really this cool revenue generating vehicle to grid capability. So what that allows a school district to do is, they can plug their electric buses into the power grid to charge the batteries when the energy demand is low, and then the cost to fill up those batteries are low as a result of that. And then in turn, they can also plug into the grid and sell that stored energy on the batteries back to the utility companies when the demand is high. So really a neat feature. We have several school districts piloting vehicle to grid throughout the United States today. And we think there's a huge opportunity for school districts in the future to earn some revenue with these buses as they're sitting idle for a good portion of the day, which they do. So pretty neat stuff.
That's incredible. Well, to learn that it's beyond cost savings, that it can also be a source of generating revenue for the school districts as well, is incredible. So thank you so much for commenting on that. I appreciate it. I can only imagine. I think today's interview is just so timely, so relevant, so much happening within the industry, and as I understand now, really Blue Bird, leading the way within many of those initiatives. And so I know that this is going to be a very exciting interview and video podcast series for audience members. This, of course, is featured at marketscale.com, the premier business-to-business platform, as well as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all the great platforms that we enjoy. And so I know that in response to today's interview, there's going to be a lot of audience members, a lot of individuals and organizations that are going to be excited to learn more about your new vehicle options, the new technologies, alternative fuel sources. And I know we're going to be reaching out to explore opportunities to work more with Blue Bird. Would you mind maybe directing audience members to the best way to learn more about these new programs, vehicles, technologies, and reach out to explore opportunities to work with you?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd say that the best way is to go to our website. It's blue-bird.com. Fantastic resources available to look at our current product lineup, as well as reach out to us. The other way is if you're looking for funding support specifically around these, the EPA funding and other funding sources, it's funding.blue-bird.com. Look forward to interacting with folks as they see the content.
That sounds great. Well, thank you so much, Britton, Albert. I really appreciate your time today. I know this has been a fun conversation. I know that I've learned a lot. Audience members will be learning a lot as well. So really appreciate each of your time, and wish you and Blue Bird continued success.
Thank you, Grant.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.